Let's switch our focus straight over to biotech. Joining me right now, this is an interesting one, top picks in the space. And Yaron is with us, Yaron Werber, Senior Research Analyst on the biotechnology team at Cowen. Thank you so much for being with us. So one of your best ideas for 2023, I was just looking at it and, you know, I saw how it's been on an upward trajectory, this Argenx, you could tell me how to say it, but really the antibody platform, you're bullish on this one. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, Nicole, you're correct. So the company is called Argenx. It's a $22 billion market cap company that is really embodies the reason why you invest in biotech. This is really for innovation for patients who need them. Specifically, in their case, it's for autoimmune disorders. These are patients where the body makes antibodies that then attack the body, specifically in neurology. Their new drug is called vyvgart. It's been absolutely crushing numbers since they got approved this year, specifically for myasthenia gravis. We think they're going to have 10 to 15 indications over time. We're modeling $6.5 billion in sales at peak. There's lots of data coming next year. It's been our top pick 3 years in a row, and we're sticking with it.
Understood. Okay, so this is one of your great ideas for 2023. You know, we see it right now under $400. I mean, where do you think this could head?
Yeah, it's a great question. We think they're going to beat numbers. They've been launching in the US. They're about to launch now in Europe. They've launched in Japan already. And there's going to be data for new indications coming next year as well. We think the stock with positive data early next year in Q1 probably goes to 450. We think sales are going to double next year from about 390 this year to about 800 and then going up from there. And it could be a takeout target as well.
Right, understood. Now, when we get to Relay Therapeutics, I noticed that they offered some shares. There's been a little pressure on the stock of late. What is it about Relay Therapeutics that you do like? You have an outperform rating on this one.
Yeah, so Relay Therapeutics is in a different part of drug development. They're focusing specifically on cancers with oral drugs for patients that have very specific mutations that then cause these cancers to really grow in their bodies. You know, what's interesting about Relay, they're actually the leader in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I know there's a lot of discussion, but Relay by far is the leader in the space. They really have everything in-house and they're already validated. So their first drug in development is for gallbladder cancer. They've shown terrific results about 3 months ago at a medical meeting. 80+% of patients had their tumor shrink in a material way without the tumor growing. We think they're going to update that data again first half of next year, specifically in June for gallbladder cancer. That same drug could be used for other indications. And they have a pipeline underneath it focusing on breast cancer, we think is going to have best-in-class drugs. So lots to come from Relay.
Yeah, and I see a recent buy rating here. You have an outperform rating when it's around $16. What's the potential there for this one?
Yeah, with this one, with potentially 2 drugs potentially coming to the market over time and a 3rd drug partnered with Roche, we think the stock next year alone can be up 50% based on positive data. Wow. And you know, this is also a part of biotech that has been in vogue for a long time and has definitely been under a lot of pressure in the last year, you know, with the sell-off in the sector. So we think when people want to come back into the sector, this is typically where they're going to go. This is where biotech excels, you know, oral drugs for cancer patients.
All right, and then there's PMV Pharma. What about this one? What is it about that you like about this one? What are they doing right?
Yeah, Nicole, so along the same theme of oral drugs for mutations, the biggest mutation that you always learn about in medical school, sort of the first day in cancer, is P53, which is the master sort of gene in cancer. PMV is the leader in this space. They're developing a new drug that is now in early testing. We're not flying blind because we've already seen some phase 1 data. It's oral once a day, very well tolerated. It showed about a 36% of patients showing their tumor shrinking, regardless of what kind of cancer they had, as long as they had this mutation. We think they're going to talk to FDA early next year about how do you move into a pivotal, you know, registration enabling study. And then we'll update their data again in June at that big medical conference. And this one too could be a takeout target. You know, with positive data, the stock could be up 50%.
Right, and when we look at, for example, the biotech ETF, year to date, it's down 12%. 6 months, it's been up over 20%. So it actually has had a little bit of a nice run since the lows that we saw in June. Where do you see the group? Is it more about the specific names? I mean, you have such great knowledge about what these companies are doing, what's in the pipeline, why what they're doing is important. What would you say to somebody who was interested maybe in a bigger picture or an ETF in this group?
Yeah, so there's two obviously ETFs. One is the XBI and one is the IBB. You're looking at the IBB. It's just a question whether they're large cap denominated more or all across the sector with some of the innovative smaller companies. As you said, it's been, and you can see it on the chart, it's been a roller coaster. It's not for the faint of heart. In the first half of the year, we've really had a tough sort of even a second really tough year. The sector really bottomed at June. At Cowen, we run a survey, we call it the Sentimometer, and we run it every quarter. We get over about 150 responses. And what's nice is that I think the sentiment is really troughed out and capitulation has already happened. We actually like the group a lot from this point onwards. Large caps have been great defensive names. They're big companies, they're drug makers, they have a lot of earnings, they're inflation insensitive. I think they're going to beat numbers, and the small caps have really troughed out. And we haven't seen a lot of M&A, but we think it's going to pick up.
All right, Yaron Werber, great to see you, and thank you for this look at this group, a specific group that we don't get to talk about enough over at Cowen. Thank you very much. A good look at these biotech names for 2023.